The days of looking at one web page at a time are long gone. Using tabs or multiple windows, you have the option to keep several web pages open at the same time. I'm looking at the Wikipedia page about Stonehenge that we were looking at in the previous movie. If you want to go to this same page, just type in the address that I have up here in the address bar. So we know that I can click on any link on this web page and it'll load a different page. But sometimes you want to open up a new page without leaving the page you're on, and there are a few ways to do that. For example, here's a link to a page on radiocarbon dating. I'm interested in this and I want to read what this page has to say, but I don't want to just click on this link because I'm not done reading the page that I'm currently on. One thing I could do is to open up this new link in another tab, so that it will open in the background and I can switch to it when I'm done reading this page. So I'll right-click on this link with my mouse, and in this menu I'll choose Open in New Tab. And now up here at the top of the window I have two separate tabs. I'm on the tab for the Stonehenge page, but if I click on this other tab, I can see it's loaded the page on radiocarbon dating. Notice when I roll over these tabs, we also get a preview of what the page contains. So I can very easily jump back and forth between these two tabs. Let's open up another one. Let's see the page on Willard Libby. I'm going to right-click on that again and choose Open in New Tab. And now we have yet another page. Now, if you want to open up a new blank tab instead of starting from a link, that's what this button here to the right of the tabs is for. Clicking on this plus button creates a new blank tab. And I could type in the address for whatever page I want to go to. For this example, let's go to explorecalifornia.org. Now, because I've previously visited this page, notice as soon as I start typing its address, Edge fills in the rest for me. If this is the page I want to visit, I can just press Enter without typing the rest. Or if it's not the one I want, I can keep typing, or use the down arrow key on my keyboard to enter one of these other suggestions. In this case, though, I do want to go to explorecalifornia.org, so I'll make sure that's selected and I'll press Enter. Now, another way to create a new tab is with a keyboard shortcut. Just hold down the Control key on the keyboard and tap T for tab. So that's Control T, that opens up a new tab, and I could browse to yet another page. So now I have all of these pages open in all of these different tabs, and I can click and jump between any one I want. And I can do whatever I need to on any of these pages without affecting the other ones. Now, sometimes instead of opening up a new tab, you might want to open up a new window. Let me resize this window first. I'm going to click on the Restore button up here. And I can just reposition this and resize this window a bit. I'm just doing this so we can make it easier to see when I have multiple windows open. And now if I want to open up one of the links here in a completely separate window, I can right-click on that link, and instead of Open a New Tab, I'll choose Open a New Window. And you can see that opens up a new Edge window, loads the page, and then I can move these windows around and I can read them both side by side. Now, Windows has a great feature where if you drag a window all the way to the edge of the screen, it'll snap and fill half the screen. And I can do the same thing with this other window now, by clicking it, and now I really can read both windows side by side. And notice I can still get to the individual tabs in this one window. Now if I want to, I can drag them away from the sides of the screen to resize them back to their original size. You can also create a new window from one of the tabs that you have open. So for instance, I could grab this tab on radiocarbon dating, and I'll drag it out, and it becomes a completely separate window, and now I have 3 windows open. You can even move tabs from one window to another. So let's take this Stonehenge tab, I'll pull that out, and I'll drag it over to the tab bar in this other window, and now I have these 2 tabs in this one window. And you can combine all of your tabs into a single window just by dragging them from one window to another. So if I wanted to combine these all back together, I can just drag them all. Do the same thing with this one. Even though this is just one tab, I can still drag it up here. And I just have this blank one in the back I can close. And I'll re-expand the window. Now you may want to organize things a little bit by changing the order of your tabs. To do so, just grab a tab and drag it left or right. And when you're done, of course, you may want to close some tabs. And again, you can do this just by clicking on the X on the tab that you want to close. Now, if you click the Close Window button up here, and you have multiple tabs open, you'll be asked whether you want to close all tabs. If you don't want to see this warning, you can check Always Close All Tabs. But I actually prefer to be asked because sometimes I accidentally close an entire window when I mean to just close a single tab, and I don't want to lose all the other tabs I have open. I'm just going to cancel that. And you can also close tabs one at a time with the keyboard shortcut of Ctrl-W. That's going to close the currently open tab. And I can just keep pressing Ctrl-W to close all my windows. So that's working with tabs. They're really useful for day-to-day browsing, and if you do a lot of browsing and cross-referencing, they're indispensable.